I like to move around when I talk. Hi, my name is Michaela Ternasky-Holland. I am an Emmy Award-winning and Peabody-nominated creator and artist, and I have been working in the mediums of AI and XR for over a decade. I actually got my start working at Time Magazine doing virtual reality experiences and augmented reality experiences. I went into social impact to then continue to do emerging technology and immersive media. We started playing with early forms of algorithmic AI with storytelling, continued that process to do more interactive and immersive museum exhibition work. But just a few years ago, when generative AI came on the scene, my colleague Erin Santiago and I decided to create a installation that was about using generative AI to tell the story of cultural erasure in Filipino Americans, and really to think about how we create new synthetic timelines around human culture that have been erased from our physical or even our digital data banks. That being said, I have then since created films, which started with Tribeca when they reached out to me as an alumni to create a film using Sora, which had not yet been released, and we created a short film in 4 weeks. And so I have been playing now with over 10 films under my belt, a mini animation series, a holiday series, and now 3 more short films I'm currently making with generative AI tools. And I have a specific focus in animation. And so I just want to start this whole AI and filmmaking panel. I feel so honored to be here. I feel so honored to kick this off with the idea about the birth of filmmaking, because I think we need to take a step back and remember about this horse in motion, right? This horse in motion was created because a photographer set up 8 different cameras so that he could win a bet to say that the horse's hooves are all off the ground at one point during the gallop. Instead of hiring 8 different photographers to create that image, he created a system where he automated the 8 different cameras to take the photo simultaneously as the horse was running across, with slight delays in between. And that became filmmaking. So the birth and the history of filmmaking is actually the birth and history of automation. And so when we're talking about the history of filmmaking, and then we're also looking at animation techniques, one thing we should know is that animation is not automated in any way, shape, or form. It takes a deep amount of time, energy, and effort for animators to create beautiful things from scratch. It is a process that you would think moving one character from left to right and have them instead come in from right to left would be a simple change, but it actually is thousands of dollars and hours of time. And so what I am interested in when I think about traditional animation techniques would start with artist concept art, we move into artist modeling, and then we move into artist animation, is where we can use generative platforms to automate some of these processes. Not to necessarily replace the artist, but to automate these intensively minute processes that take very long amounts of time. So here's a great example. This is an end-to-end AI workflow where we start with a concept art that the AI actually created through ChatGPT. Then we ask the AI to model or color in or kind of bring to life the character. And then we ask the AI to animate the character. So this is a very simple one-to-one process where you see that the generative platform is supporting an artist with a vision. That being said, through my current learnings the last 8-9 months, I think the best outputs you can have, especially with AI workflows that utilize animation medium, is you start with artist concept art, then you have the artist do the rough color, then you use the AI platforms to enhance, because that's really where the grind work starts to happen, is when the artist has to take their concept art, take their first pass at what we call color blocking, and then bring it into a production-ready piece of work. That involves lighting, that involves cleaning up their line work, that involves potentially modeling this character in 3D, which I will show you in the next slide. So all of that can kind of be enhanced or plussed up using these generative platforms. And this is what I would call a hybrid AI workflow, where we're taking not just end-to-end AI, but we're actually utilizing some of the more traditional pieces of the process. Here's a great example of how we do it with a 3D character, right? Again, we start with an artist concept art, artist rough color. We bring in the enhancement using the generative tools, and then we also use the generative tools to do things like frame-by-frame animation, or to do things like helping us bring these characters to life. That being said, it's not perfect, so we still have artists who are working to rig faces. We still have artists that are working to paint over and animate. That being said, I do think there is a new type of way to talk about production, especially when it comes to filmmaking. And so when we're thinking about production, usually we start with pre-production, production, and post-production. But I have started implementing new language to help my teams who come from both traditional and emerging technology backgrounds to be able to talk to each other. And so the first piece of my process now is called viability testing. This is kind of the difference of pre-production, but we're really thinking about how viable are the AI platforms we're using. They change every day, the workflows change every day, you can mix and match them every day. So really we have to test the viability of each platform every time we're about to go into a process. From there, thinking of production, we're really thinking about the viability execution. So we have these viable platforms we're using for enhancing and animation, but then how are we executing not just a single image, not just a single test, but a whole film. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-minute long films. There's a whole process there that feels more like a flywheel, because even if the execution works for some shots or some scenes, it might not work for other shots and other scenes, so we have to go back to the viability testing period. And finally, the thing I like to tell my team is when we hit viability completion, it's like our post-production. That's when we fully are finished with the generative tools. We put them away, we put them in the box, and we just finalize everything like a traditional production. We finalize our timing, we finalize our VFX, our score, our sound design, and of course, a color. That viability completion is a really good moment because it means we're taking out things we can't control. Because the biggest thing you give up with utilizing generative tools is control. You're probably saying, okay, Michaela, this sounds really great, but like, how good are these films you're making, right? And so I just want to share my most recent project that is currently online. This is called Echoes of Legend. This is a 9-part mini-series, so 9 episodes. So it's about a 16-minute long series overall. And we created this with hybrid AI and end-to-end AI workflows. We premiered this on YouTube with little to no marketing budget, and it has received over 2.2 million views across YouTube. You're like, okay, it looks really pretty, but how good is it really? Well, before we get into it, I know I keep burying the lead for you all. I just also want to go into what kind of teams you have to build when you're starting to think about creating these kinds of films. So with viability testing, I usually work with an art director, a score composer, and a script writer. There's also an AI artist in there, but I just always like to start with that because those are the more traditional roles we're used to in the more traditional filmmaking space. Once we get into viability execution, that's where image composers, image animators, VO director, and editor, whether you're doing it with generative talent or if you're doing it with traditional talent, you still need these roles. And finally, with viability completion, you still need an editor. I still love using SFX designers and score composers as collaborators because they bring the best out of the film. I think a film is 50% visuals and 50% audio. And here's some of the timeline of what we did with Echoes of Legend. So script writing was about 4 weeks. Art directing and score composing was about 4 weeks. That would be called visual development. Shot production, VO production, 3 to 4 weeks. Again, this is a 15-minute long animated show. This would have probably taken over a year if we had done it in the more traditional workflows. Animation, editing, SFX, audio mixing, those are all in there. So end to end, it was about 4 months, 4 to 5 months. Here's some of the ways we manage the production. We utilize Google Sheets, SyncSketch, and Figma just to build all the shots and to manage all the teams. So just because you're using new technology doesn't mean you can't suddenly throw out production and organization and workflow. Those are still very important, especially when you want to scale your team. You can be one person with a computer, but you can only do so much. And there's nothing less than I want to do than make a film by myself with my computer. So if we are scaling these generative workflows, we have to start thinking about how we manage teams. Okay, so y'all want to watch a film? Okay, do y'all want to watch a film? All right, let's see if I can get these to play. Oh no, y'all used PowerPoint. Okay, any chance I can bring up a YouTube link? Oh, can't skip verification? Skip it. Verification is very important, but today we're skipping it. Skip.
You have committed blasphemy, Tooth.
When it's your lie, it's unyielding faith.
Why are my lies curses?
Blood remembers, the oath awakens, the council assembles. Your blood must spill for the council to answer. Walk, the vessel of forgotten gods, running through the body of a mortal man. The council is awakened. Blood remembers. Answer the oath.
Who are you?
I was many, but after the Great War, I became one.
Dewada?
Do we have time for one more, or should I wrap it up? Okay. Let's see if this clinks. Okay, there we go.
You do not belong here.
The voice of Rasa is always welcome in my home.
You defile this sacred place.
Psh, what's a little sin amongst friends and gods?
There is one God, one voice, and that is Rasa.
I thought the voice of Rasa could not lie. Tell me, was Dewada not one who was many? Was he not a god? I call a toast to the other gods. Why let Rasa have all of the prayers?
Heresy!
Heretic.
Heretic. Heretic!
So that was 2 of 9 episodes. It's available fully for free on YouTube. You're welcome to check it out. Just go to YouTube and search Echoes of Legend. You watched episode 1 and episode 4, so nothing got fully given away. I was kind of giving you the glimpse of the first and the middle, but you'll get to know that character too over the 9 episodes. So, level setting. These are my final thoughts. Take them, leave them, all good. I'm excited to be here. That's a gorgeous view of Manhattan we have. There's no one platform. There's no class. There's no rule book. You got to just start doing it. You can't think, oh, I have to learn more before I do it. Just start doing it, because everyone has their own unique approach. Everybody has their unique vision, and if you want to start making it, just get into the tools and start making it. You cannot make a film with just $10. I'm so sorry, LinkedIn posts, it's wrong. This 9-episode film cost about $100,000 to create. And that's just level setting. Was it much cheaper than traditional animation? Yes. Traditional animation probably would have cost closer to $800,000. But still a decent budget. You have to have people, you have to have budget to pay for your credits. It's still a real production. I personally think if your workflow is invisible, if no one can see what you did to make your film, right? If no one knows it's generative AI or hand-drawn or 3D rigging, whatever your workflow is, it doesn't have to have the words AI in it, then it's successful. If no one's sitting there being like, wow, you made that with AI, that's so good. If they're sitting there being like, I love that story, I love those characters, can I see more? Then I think I've done my job well. I think you have to remember that a lot of these generative tools just start to fill in the blanks based on the context you give them. So it's your job as the creator to give them really strong context. You can take that from a prompting perspective, you could take that from a concept art image training perspective, but if you feel like you're not getting what you need out of those tools, it's not the tool's fault, it's probably your fault. It's a direct reflection on you on how well you're giving them context. Automation creates an illusion of creativity. So there's a difference between just automating for the sake of automating and automating as an enhancer. And so I really think that you think these tools are so smart. You think these tools are so creative. All they're doing is automating processes. That does not mean they are creative. You are the creative. Don't let the illusion of what these things can or can't do make you think that you are disempowered as a creative person. And finally, I think there is a lot to be said about ownership, and I know that's going to be talked about later today, but I do think the reality is having new tools like this, we need to start thinking about radical ways we can have ownership over our work and our tools. One idea I want to leave you all with: if these technological platforms are taking our data and taking our money, maybe we can't have our data back, but maybe we could have our money back. What if ChatGPT paid you every generation you made for them? What if Google paid you to use their G Suite? These are things I think we need to think about within radical ownership systems. And finally, especially in the traditional filmmaking world, we're used to having above the line and below the line crew members. What if every crew member was paid not only their day rate, not only what they deserved as a regular sort of fee, but what if they were each given a percentage based on their role to be had in the income process of the distribution of the technology? If we have technology that can generate thousands and millions of pixels in under 30 seconds, we should have technology that can distribute money evenly across every single dollar that the film or the piece of content or creativity is making. And these are the ways we should start thinking about radical ownership. Thank you so much.